Civil rights icon and longtime Congressman John Lewis is being remembered this week in a series of memorials and services. CBS News anchor and national correspondent Michelle Miller is in Selma, Alabama. Michelle, the nation has been in mourning for a week now. What has stood out to you?
Really, Margaret, the women who are taking the lead on speaking out about how this man not only paid homage to them and lifted them up, but they're wanting folks to know about it. I mean, the civil rights movement is something you heard about, the men in the movement, the Martin Luther Kings, the Whitney Youngs, the Big Six. They got all the attention, but you didn't hear about the Amelia Boynton Robinsons or the Annie Lee Coopers, women who were beaten for daring to cross this bridge or daring to try and register to vote. And women like Cheyenne Webb Kreisberg, who at 8 years old walked across this bridge and were counseled because she was so traumatized by what she had seen, the youngest person to walk that bridge. She spoke about him last night at the AME church. She spoke about how he stayed in touch with her to these past 60 years. Or the Terry Sewells, the first black woman to represent the state of Alabama ever, who went to Capitol Hill. And the minute she got there, she said that Lewis was there to greet her, to mentor her, to guide her. In fact, he insisted that she become a co-pilgrimage maker every year to cross this bridge with her, and was always there to take a stand with her. I think of the Women's March of 2017 and the fact that many of those leaders, including Tamika Mallory, who said he was the first in Congress to legitimize that movement. And she showed me a letter that he had written about a week before he died to not just her, but others in the movement, saying, "I pass the torch on to you. I pass the torch and I know it will burn brightly." And I just want to mention one woman who walked here wearing a purple t-shirt. It said YOIE, standing for, she said, "Your only is enough." Inspired by John Lewis, she said, because, you know, if you can only register 5 people to vote, then that is enough. Again, his mantra, if you see something wrong, say something, do something, and that is his lasting legacy.
I love that passing of the baton, Michelle. With this procession and this process of mourning, what should we expect in the coming days?
The family does not want people to travel because of the pandemic, of course, but a lot more taking place. This afternoon, Lewis will lie and repose at the Alabama State Capitol in Montgomery, which ironically was the end point for the famous 1965 march. On Monday, there's a procession through the streets of the nation's capital and an invitation-only ceremony as Lewis's casket arrives to the U.S. Capitol Rotunda. Later Monday evening, an outdoor viewing with social distancing protocols in effect on the east front steps of the Capitol. That viewing continues on Tuesday. Wednesday, he will be returned to his adopted hometown of Atlanta and ceremonies at the Georgia State Capitol. Finally, Thursday, and the official funeral at Ebenezer Baptist Church, the pastoral home of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And although that will be Ebenezer's New Horizons sanctuary, it is still something that is expected to be very special. The burial that afternoon will take place at Atlanta's Southview Cemetery. He will be laid to rest next to his beloved wife, Lillian, who passed away back in 2012. So a near full week of celebrations in honor of John Lewis. Margaret?
A celebration of his life and his message. Michelle Miller, thank you. I know you'll be covering it for all of us.